Alice in Wonderland, a journey of curiosity and bravery. Once upon a time, in the heart of a charming English countryside, there lived a curious young girl named Alice. Alice was known for her imagination and adventurous spirit. One warm and sunny afternoon, Alice sat by a riverbank, her eyes wandering across the blooming flowers and fluttering butterflies. But despite the beauty around her, she felt a little bored. As she sat daydreaming, something extraordinary happened. Out of the corner of her eye, Alice spotted a white rabbit with bright pink eyes, dressed in a vest and carrying a pocket watch. The rabbit glanced at the time and exclaimed, "Oh dear! Oh dear! I shall be late." In a rush, he scurried past Alice and disappeared into a large rabbit hole. Filled with wonder and curiosity, Alice leaped up and decided to follow him. Without a second thought, she leaned into the rabbit hole and, suddenly, found herself falling down, down through a tunnel of strange and swirling colors. The world around her seemed to spin in a magical dance as she drifted gently to the ground. When she finally landed, Alice found herself in a long hallway filled with doors of all shapes and sizes. A gleaming glass table caught her eye, and on it sat a small golden key and a bottle labeled "Drink Me." Intrigued, Alice took a sip of the potion and watched in amazement as she shrunk down to the perfect size to fit through a tiny door. Beyond the door was a lush and beautiful garden, filled with flowers that seemed to sing and trees that whispered in the breeze. As Alice wandered through Wonderland, she encountered a series of strange and enchanting characters. Her first meeting was with a talking caterpillar perched on a giant mushroom. The caterpillar, in a slow and thoughtful voice, gave Alice confusing advice about life in Wonderland and told her that different parts of the mushroom could change her size. With a piece of the mushroom in hand, Alice continued on her journey, growing taller and smaller whenever needed. Next, Alice stumbled upon the Cheshire Cat, a mysterious and mischievous creature with a wide grin that stretched from ear to ear. The Cheshire Cat had the peculiar ability to appear and disappear at will, leaving only his grin behind. He directed Alice to the house of the March Hare, where she found herself invited to a never-ending tea party with the Mad Hatter and the sleepy Dormouse. The tea party was full of nonsense and riddles, with the Mad Hatter and March Hare constantly switching seats and making strange comments. Though Alice was entertained, she soon grew frustrated with their silly antics and decided to move on. As Alice continued her journey, she wandered into the garden of the Queen of Hearts, a fierce and bossy ruler who loved to play croquet, but not in the usual way. In Wonderland, croquet was played with flamingos as hammers and hedgehogs as balls. The queen was quick to anger, often shouting, "Off with their heads," whenever something didn't go her way. But Alice, being brave and full of spirit, didn't let the queen intimidate her. She stood tall and challenged the queen's unfair commands. During the croquet game, Alice met the King of Hearts and the rest of the royal court, which was made up of living playing cards. Just as Alice thought things couldn't get any stranger, the queen accused the Knave of Hearts of stealing her tarts. The court held a chaotic trial, with the Mad Hatter and March Hare called as witnesses. Their stories were so silly that nothing made sense. The courtroom buzzed with nonsense and confusion, but Alice remained calm and collected. As the trial grew more absurd, something magical began to happen. Alice started to grow. She grew taller and taller until she was towering over everyone in the court. The queen, furious that she had lost control, yelled for Alice's execution. But Alice, filled with courage, looked around at the queen, the cards, and the chaos and said, "You're nothing but a pack of cards." In that moment, the whole court rose into the air, swirling around Alice like a whirlwind. Cards flew everywhere, tumbling down upon her. And just like that, everything faded away, and Alice found herself waking up. Back at the riverbank, Alice rubbed her eyes and realized that her wild adventure had all been a dream. The world of Wonderland vanished, but the memories of the strange characters and the lessons she had learned stayed with her. She smiled at her sister, still reading peacefully nearby, and thought about how her time in Wonderland had taught her to be curious, brave and to always stand up for herself, no matter how strange or confusing life might seem. And so, dear reader, Alice's journey through Wonderland came to an end, but the magic of her adventure would live on in her heart forever. The end.